Okay, so this class, if you're not familiar, first of all, if you're not familiar with me, my name is Jen Weir. You might have been invited to a YouTube channel to watch this later than November, what are we at, November 16th. You might have had a friend give you the link, and now you're on here on the class with me, and you might go, I don't know who this lady is. That's my name. I'm not going to give you all my street credentials. It's really not important. I don't really want to tell you a lot about me because it doesn't, that doesn't really serve a purpose. What I want to share with you, though, is most of you have followed along with me this entire year in our 21 and 21 group. And what that was, if you're not familiar with it, is I had this wild hair idea, totally the Lord. I wish I could take credit, but nothing good that I can think of is from me, because we all know God is the one who gives really great ideas, the divine ideas. Back in December, I thought, it'd be fun, a play on words of 21. 21 is like a magic number, right? In 21 days, you'll have a new habit. In 21 days, you're going to make $1 million and lose 100 pounds. So we hope. This is what we all think January 1st. This is such a lie. And that's okay. But I thought, it's 2021. Let's invest in the year and do 21-day intervals of all kinds of stuff. And in my mind, I thought, this would be great. We'll do 21 days of drinking water, 21 days of switching out tea in place of coffee, which is so fun. It's what my family did last year. My mom and her husband are so into teas. If you ever want to know how healing teas are, we're your people. It's phenomenal. I mean, hello, our oils, right? Just in a different form. And I started praying about it as I do everything. And it got deep real quick. I thought, oh, dang. Okay, buckle up, everybody who's following me, because it's about to get real. And our topic started off with belief, 21 days of belief. I'm like, okay, Lord, where are you going with this? Some of these people, we don't all believe the same things. I'm unapologetic about what I believe, because I don't think truth has to be apologized for. But I just share it unashamedly, right? And I thought, okay, you do you, God. I'm just going to write. And I write and the things come. And then it was, I don't know that I'll go in order, but we did 21 days of rest. 21 days of seeing miracles. That was my favorite interval because my life is riddled with miracles. And I remember having a conversation with somebody a while back before my husband passed. And I said, I just see miracles all the time. And she said, I want to see miracles like you. I said, then you have to put yourself in a position to need a miracle. And she said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I'm like, well, I guess this is where we part ways. Then I'll have the miraculous life. You have the bland suburban life. It may sound harsh to you, but that's just that. The children of Israel didn't stay in Egypt. They went and did something. They needed a big time miracle. And on and on. And so then we also did like 21 days of heart health, which got deep real quick. We talked about love. 7 different types of love. Most people think there's only 3 or 4. There's 7. We talked about journaling and vision. I'm thinking it was about 3 times. I didn't go back and check, but at least 3 times I walked you through some sort of emotion, something. Because I am who I am, and I can't not talk about emotions. If you and I sit down together in a new setting, I guarantee within 10 minutes, one of us is going to be crying, if not both, because we'll be talking about emotions. And we'll both be healing and just talking to each other about that. It's what I do. And it evolved, 21 and 21, just evolved into one, almost a year long. What are we at? November? So maybe 10 months of an opportunity for you to heal. Did you take it? Did you take each interval, take notes, and do the work that I asked you to do? It wasn't hard. If you didn't, here's your opportunity to gain a few nuggets from the year. We also did 21 days of wisdom. Whew. this hairdresser from California is like, what am I writing about wisdom? Oh my word. That's from God, not from me. So here's the deal. Take your oil. Let's begin. I'm using Sacred Mountain. It's the end of a long day of homeschooling and whatnot. The first thing you are required to know in any type of healing, in any type of thriving, in any type of being ready for anything is knowing and understanding how to use your essential oils. I share this in any class setting, whether I'm teaching you about thieves, whether I'm teaching you how to get set free from PTSD and everything in between. It's proper breathing. You all, some of you have been with me for years on emotions, right? And you all know we talk about this. And even if you're one who breathes properly, it becomes refreshing to you even now as I walk you through it. I have this watch. So funny, one of the settings is it tells me to breathe. You guys, what kind of a world do we live in that I have to have a watch to tell me to breathe? If Apple gets it, you should get it, right? It also tells me to stand, which is a little pesky when I'm writing. I'm like, hey, mind your business. I got things to write. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your drop of oil. We are going to learn how to slow down. If you want to be ready for anything, you have to slow your pace. Starting now, I pray you make a commitment to slow it back, dial it down. Because this nonsense of running around like a chicken, doing the things, has got to stop. So we slow it down. Take your oil. Take one drop. Take 2 or 3, whatever you feel, whatever comes out of the bottle. Have you ever noticed sometimes when you pass an oil around or you put it in your hand, like, oh, I got too much. No, you didn't. You got as much oil as your body was pulling from that bottle. Do you understand that? Do you understand if just one drop came out, that's what you need? Do you also understand that if you need vetiver and nothing is coming out, you don't need vetiver? Can I be very clear with you about that? Change your oil. Stop being so frustrated with your, it won't come out. Don't put that energy on that sweet oil. It's not your oil. Choose something that's coming out of the bottle. Does that make sense? So we take it, we rub it together. Okay, now we're slowing down our pace. And you cup your hands over your nose and mouth. It's always funny when I teach this because I'm trying to talk. And you take in a good deep breath. I'm going to count. Watch. We go like this. And then we exhale. So we count 4. We hold it just a touch, and then we exhale it out. Let's do that again. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Little hold it. Now good exhale. Blow it all out. 3, 4. Let's do it one more time. Okay, I'm going to do it with you. Okay, now, no matter the state that you were in when you popped in, right now what you just did is you oxygenated every cell in your brain. You fed it some healing molecules from the oils. You calmed your adrenal glands down, which also calmed, ladies, your ovaries, which also calmed your thyroid if you still have one, which helped your pineal gland, which helped your pituitary gland. You see how this all works? Everybody's quiet. If you have children or pets, you know that time of the day when everybody is like, okay, we're finally quiet. It's glorious, more than my 5 children, when my dogs are quiet, laying on their beds, I'm like, it's peaceful. There's not a leaf rustling, a cat that they're upset with, it's quiet. And when my children are quietly drawn, it's this settled peace. That's what you just did for your body. Tonight, my prayer is to engage your body, your soul, and your spirit. We are three of these parts. If you don't know that, you just learned something new. Hurrah, it was worth the price of admission, right? This is great. Everything that you do involves your body, your soul, and your spirit. The problem is most of us are led with our soul. Sometimes our soul doesn't know truth. So we and our spirit have to pull that out and speak to that truth. I'm getting ahead of myself. Please forgive me. It's how I am. Now, I have my notes to keep myself. I thought about it and prayed. I thought, what do you guys need? What can I tell you in a 45-minute, 1-hour session that's going to get you ready for anything? It's almost like, can you guys just live in my back pocket and we'll walk through life and I'll just say, no, this is how we respond. Hey, let's make sure we do this, right? I'll give you an example. When my husband was in the hospital, when they were trying to figure out what was wrong with him, you know, pocket Jen Weir, that's funny. The course they threw out cancer, I'm like, I see no truth in that. It's the first thing I said to the doctor. She was dumbfounded. And my poor husband was probably like, oh God, I need to apologize for my wife. You know, and then he knows me. She just kept saying that C word. I'm like, I see no truth in that. Stop saying that word. Just stop it. You don't even know what's going on. You're throwing a word around. You see, when you lead with your soul, it's like, oh my gosh, no, not that. You know, you start freaking out. When you're led with your spirit, it's like, I'm sorry, I see no truth in that, because you don't know the truth. So stop saying it could be this, it might be that. I don't know. Right now, this is what I believe to be true because this is what my God says. We'll get to how we can talk like that in a moment. This is how we begin to get ready for anything. And I don't want to tell too many personal stories because I don't want to make this the Jen Weir show, but I do need to do it to illustrate how this works out in normal life. There's a way that I've done this wrong and there's a way that I've done this right. One way that I did this wrong is we were in Massachusetts, right in the height of the, whatever you want to call it, going on last year, having too many gatherings. And we had the sheriffs at our door saying, you're a COVID hotspot, yada, yada. No one had ever gotten sick, but because we had so many people at the house all the time disobeying, this is what we were called. Instead of standing in my power and saying, I see no truth in that, be gone with you, I got a job to do, I shrunk back. And because I started to be concerned that somebody who had authority over me, they're threatening, they're doing all these things, I was terrified. I packed up my family and moved back to Texas. That was a lesson learned. I saw truth. Lisa, you're funny. I saw truth. It is a huge blessing that I'm here, though. I can see the good in that. I saw their truth. I didn't see the truth in what I was called to do there. So let's get to that. 3 things. Write this down. Know your name. Know your purpose. Know your name. Know your purpose. Understand you have a job to do. That's number 3. Know your name, know your purpose, and understand you have a job to do. You know those 3 things. You understand how to utilize these as tools for healing, for health, for longevity. You got the world by the tail. And you, my friend, will be ready for anything. I say that as a widow. Let me think. We are on month 3. I'm not saying I'm a superhuman. I'm not saying I never cry and have an ugly day. I had that last week. This is a new week. But I understand also time and place. So we'll get to that too. I have much to share. Please let me say my words so that everyone understands. Okay. The first thing is your name. Show of hands, or just type in the chat for those of you guys watching online. How many of you know what your first name and your middle name mean? Tina, okay, good. Deb, Angela, yes, good, good, excellent, excellent. there was a time this year where I encouraged you to look at your name. It was, I believe, in the journal and vision time, 21 days of journaling and vision. And the reason why is because your name is the first prophecy ever spoken over you, ever. It's your calling. It's who you were designed to be. And it doesn't matter if your parents, like mine, named you your middle name after an Elton John song that they loved, or your first name because their names were John and Janice, so they wanted a Jennifer. It doesn't matter. God knew whatever they were going to choose, and he put the idea in their head that spoke to them at that time. So my first name is Jennifer, which is like white wave, fair one, all of that. But I grew up being called Jenny all the time. When I got older, it's Jen, and now it's Jen Weir, which I think only Karen Perry knows that story. But it's Jen Weir, all one word. Thank you very much. My middle name is Amarina, meaning immortal one. So how you like that with my kids? I'm like, I don't know about you, but I ain't going anywhere. I'm going to be like Enoch, and then I wasn't, right? They'll go, where's mom? She just isn't anymore. But my first name, Jenny and Jen, mean God is gracious. So I share that with you to give you an idea. My middle name literally means immortal one. I have no concern about my very life. So I'm going to live in such a way that reflects that. Does that make sense to anybody? When you know what your name means, you see, your parents called you that, whether you were in trouble, whether it was come home for dinner, whether whatever, your friends. Every time someone says, when I say Anna, Pamela, Lisa, I am prophesying over you. I'm calling you out and calling you to your purpose. Every time. Your spirit, remember we talked about that. Your spirit lights up, it's like, oh, that's right, that's me, that's my calling. This is why so many people have midlife crises, identity crisis, because very likely they grew up in America with the American dream. We grew up a crop of teachers, a crop of accountants, a crop of lawyers, a crop of doctors, a crop of nurses, respectable jobs. Make a good job so you can have a good living, so you can have a good family and a good, dog or whatever, picket fence, yada, yada. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, you're like that song. How did I get here? Where did the days go by? That whole thing. And this isn't what you were designed to do. I watched my husband, who was an incredible artist, so talented. But his parents wouldn't let him go to art school because, after all, you can't make a good living as an artist. And I'm like, my God, you grew up in California. That's literally where all the artists go. Of course you can. Of course you can. But I watched him wrestle with that inner, has to be the business guy or the whatever, and art oozed from him. When he would make me a sandwich, I think I've shared this with some of you, I might starve to death, but darn it off, it wasn't the best looking sandwich in the whole wide world. Took him long enough. It was beautiful when I ever got it. Which brings me to my second point, know your purpose. Maybe your name isn't quite clear. God is gracious, immortal one. That might be like, is that a job? What do I do with that? Okay. So then we go with, what is your purpose? How do you find your purpose? What's my purpose? How do I know? There's books written about it. A whole church made millions of dollars, purpose-driven, whatever. But the point is, it doesn't matter. Nobody can tell you what your purpose is except for you and your creator. And it goes like this. What do you like to do? I love helping people heal. I always have. I'm a teacher. I cannot help it. I worked in the salon for 25 years. Guess what I did? I taught hair color. Well, I didn't work in the salon 25 years. I cut hair right for that long. I worked in the salon, I don't know, maybe 10 years. I taught people how to do hair color. I taught them business classes. I'm a teacher. It's what I do. I learned about emotions. I'm like, I got to tell my Young Living people this. I got to start telling you because it's how I learn. You see how that works? You just start stumbling into what you love. And you know what you don't do? You don't think about a paycheck. In order to be ready for anything, please write this down. This is so important. In order to be ready for anything, you don't think about a paycheck. Because thinking about a paycheck will stop you from doing your purpose. It just will. I might lose some friends that I'm about to say this, and that's okay. I feel like, it's fine. And it's like this. I see a lot of people talking about, well, they might lose their jobs because they have to get a stick or whatever. It's like, so you're depending on this building for your future. You're so much more powerful than that. Oh my gosh, okay, if that's you, if you're worried about job loss, and well, Jen, you don't understand, try me. I just lost half my income 3 months ago. I don't play anymore. Try me and see that my God will not provide for you. Promise you. The thing is, you're so much more powerful than a stick, than a mandate, than a whatever. You just have to understand that and receive it, not in your soul, in your spirit. That is how you're ready for anything. You have to know what your Creator says about you, what He thinks about you. He's faithful. He provides, even if you don't know Him. The boys in Massachusetts who live with me did not know the God that I know, but they knew me. They trusted me. There's scripture to back that up, by the way, but this isn't a Bible class, even though it might feel that way. I said to them, you are gifted musicians. So talented. You have no business working in a check cashing place, and you surely don't have any business working in construction unless you're singing to all the other workers. So how about it? What are you going to do? They quit their job the next day. They had someone sign them and help fund their stuff. They started recording in our basement. You see how things work out like that. Things just happen when you know your purpose and you start walking in it. You cannot, to quote my dear friend Karen here, you cannot chase a paycheck. That is not your purpose. Many of us in here, maybe I'm the only one, I don't think so, I see some faces who do the same. We have these as part of our income. And if you've been on any one of my classes, you'll know I say, these, we're not selling leggings. Do you understand? We're not selling baskets. We're not selling eyelashes. This is healing. This is God's word in a bottle. This is healing. This is God's word in a bottle. So it's not about a rank. It's not about a paycheck. It's not about a position. It's not about a platform. This is so much bigger. This is so much bigger if that's you. It could be part of your purpose, maybe not. I don't know. Young Living may not have anything to do with your purpose, but you might have been drawn into it because of a paycheck and a platform and a position. It might have been a distraction from your name, from your calling and purpose. This might be a time for you to pause and go, is this in line with my purpose? Because if it's not, then friend, let's find you your purpose. Like, not purpose-driven life. Let's find what you were designed, put on this earth to do. Do you understand that you all, every one of us sitting on here, every one of you watching later, was designed, created, called to live in 2021 as the world is right now. Do you all understand? Like, for real, show of hands. If you don't understand that, please know. Please know. Everything that's going on in our world, yeah, it's a disaster, for sure. But if you know who you are and you know your purpose, number 3, you know you have a job to do. You know you have a job to do. So, anything that comes your way, anything, you put those 3 things together, you know how to breathe, you know how to use your oils, you know you have a job to do. I sat with a woman recently and we were coaching. She's like, I feel bad talking to you about my stuff. I'm like, why? You know, she looks at me like, well, you know. I'm like, what, my husband died? Yeah, I know. What, am I supposed to sit here and cry all day long and not do anything, not walk in my purpose? You know, Mark would kick my butt if he knew that. That he would be like, what? We talked about this. My husband and I were so acutely aware that when Mark was dying, I'm holding his hand, like, you know, being all sad, right? I don't want to make anyone sad. He's like, you're not going to miss a beat. He's like, you're going to pick up like tomorrow. I'm like, I don't think tomorrow, friend, just so we're clear. But I think about that. I have a job to do. I know what my purpose and my calling is. Do you? And the thing is, no matter what, no pandemic, no death, no nothing, no wayward child, no job loss, no job gain, no nothing will shake you. Because you know who you are, you know you have purpose, and then you know you have a job to do. I mean, I feel like you'd be like, hey, thanks for coming. I'll see you guys later. Bye. But let's break this down a little bit. I shared with you, we talked about rest. We talked about miracles. We talked about belief. We talked about journaling and vision. I'm going to get on my journaling soapbox. That's it. I've decided. I know. I see your face, Karen. I'm not looking at you. I promise. I'm just going to look. Right. I can't see you. Listen to me carefully. Those of you who call on the same God that I do. The Word of God is very clear. It says, write the vision. Show of hands. See, you guys didn't know this is an interactive, putting you guys on the spot. How many of you have had visions or dreams or whatever you want to call it? Okay, I'm like, great, 3, 4, 5, 8, great, on here. I will not journal shame. I don't move in shame. I will not. I will not. But of those of you who have had visions and dreams, if you have not written them down, how do you remember them? For those of you who have not ever had a vision or a dream or something, and you don't write it down, how are you going to ever find a vision or a dream? You're not, I'm just saying you, the universal you, okay? The universal you is not ready for anything because they didn't, not you guys. Let's talk about all the other people, right? They didn't write the vision so big, the Word of God says, that anybody running by will be able to see it. It's as if God is like, hey, take out an ad on, what's a freeway here? On the 121. That's a freeway in Texas, though you guys are not in Texas. If you're in California, the 405. If you're in Massachusetts, you walk everywhere, so that doesn't matter. But you take a billboard out and say, this is what it said, so big that I can see it. So big that you can see it. And you run with it. You run your race with your vision. I started journaling, keeping a journal for my dreams and these pictures I'd get in my head. Guess what? They all match. They all have something to do with each other. Sometimes when you dream, when you sleep, you're able to work out your negative emotions. You're able to work out your grief, your sadness, because your mind is not engaged, but your spirit is like, God, we got to work this through. And so you have these crazy wild dreams. And that's why when we use our oils to sleep, know this: if you're someone who needs to heal from some trauma, I'll just say it like that, consider diffusing release at night. Man, that's going to help get the stuff that's deeply buried up and out. You know, emotional healing doesn't have to always be this big boohoo cry fest with Jen Weir. You can do it in your sleep. It doesn't have to be painful. You ever notice how so many people have resistance to emotional healing? And I'm like, that must mean it's good for you. It's kind of like working out and eating healthy, right? Or like journaling. Okay, I didn't say I was okay, I'm not gonna shame nobody. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying. But when you write in your journal, even if you're having a day where you're like, this day's hard. When you write it out, you can look at it effectively. You can look at it objectively, and you can say, is there truth to this, what I just wrote? Is any of this beneficial? Here's a question I learned from a really good friend who I partner with now. She'll say, where's the fruit in that? Or actually, better yet, what is the fruit of this thought? That might be something to write down. What's the fruit of this thought? For all my fellow keyboard warriors, myself included, I have to ask myself, what's going to be the fruit of this post? That's hard for me, because I spent 3 years in Boston ministering to some gang people. I don't play. But not all my audience did time on the inside wearing fancy ankle bracelets. So I have to, where's the fruit in this? What will the fruit be? Will they receive this with joy? Will this spur them on to love and good deeds? Or will this hurt them? Will this spur me on to love and good deeds? Or is this going to hurt? Am I being critical of myself, my children, my spouse, my partner? Or is this causing more love and beauty and goodness to be built up around me, within me, outside of me? Some questions to ask. When you have a crystal clear vision, nothing can shake you. Even if things don't look like they're playing out in a way that you thought, nothing can shake you if your vision is clear. And I say that knowing full well, I'm going to speak to the elephant in the room. There is, that's such good English. Please forgive me. There are several of us in here right now on this call, many of you watching later, who have dealt with the biggie, the death, just big elephant in the room, death, right? It sucks. It hurts. It's sometimes hard to breathe. I know, I understand, it's hard. Everything I say tonight, understand that I know. And this is not Everything I share is not like, well, if you have a bad day or if you have a bad week where you're crying and you're like, I'm not doing not a darn thing right now. That does not mean that you've lost sight of your vision, that you're not walking in your purpose, that you're not doing what you were called to do. Not at all. Again, the Word of God says there's a time to grieve. There's a time to rejoice. There's a time to be sad. There's a time to have joy and be happy. And sometimes those happen in the same day. They can happen in the same hour. Have you ever been like cry laughing? My daughter calls it crow laughing, where you're like weeping and then somebody cracks a joke in the middle of your weeping and you start laughing, but you're still crying because you're releasing. It's kind of a weird emotion, but it's good. So when we walk through these things and we understand our name, our purpose, our calling, the job that we have to do, and if we're walking through hard, we understand that, you know what, it's just a hard day. It's not a hard life. There are things that happen in this world that were not God's design. Now, I don't know the background of everybody. I don't. But many of you won't hear this truth, and it is truth. And the thing is, there's two kinds of people who leave this earth, right? The one that it was their time, they lived out their purpose, their calling, they're done. They're done. The other one is they were a casualty of war. If you know the God I know, you know that there's a war going on. If you don't know, you're probably like, yeah, I can kind of feel that. Don't know what you're talking about, but I can kind of sense that. I've seen people wiped out this year, and I'm like, what the heck? Casualty of war. We're used to, I grew up military. I'm used to war. Like, I understand it. My dad, he came out to visit me one time when it must have been late high school because Desert Storm had just happened. He was supposed to spend 2 weeks. Within 2 days, he got called up and had to go because he had to, whatever, special ops, yada, yada, they had to go. That was that. I knew I may not never ever see him again. Could God prevent that? Yeah, but there's also evil in the world that we contend with. That's, again, another class for another day. Can I tell you, I'm going to say this as gently as I can, if you are struggling with the death of a loved one, struggling in that, why God, why? Don't waste your time on that question. That's that. There's 2 reasons. The sooner you can move forward and say, you're God, I'm not, we're going to move forward. He didn't do it. He's the author of life, not the author of death. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to say it again, actually. He's the author of life, not the author of death. That's that. That is that. So maybe you need to tell somebody else about that. Okay, moving on. Our emotions come from our soul. We have the spirit, we have the body, and then we have the spirit, our soul, and then our little body. It's kind of along for the ride. It's almost like the body's like, I need you two to figure it out because I'm over here like losing my hair, face is breaking out, nails are chipping off. Somebody needs to give. The body's just kind of carried along, right? We know this. How many times have I had some of you guys message me, my hair is falling out. Oh my God, what oil? I'm like, what happened to you? What's going on with your emotions? Don't ask me about an oil unless it's like, what can I do to release the negative emotions that are causing my hair to fall out? So people have had the vid, and it's a symptom of the vid. Not always. My hair didn't fall out. I don't even know if I had that, but I lost my sense of smell. And people are like, you probably had the thing. Well, maybe, but I didn't feel bad, but my hair didn't fall out. My mom's hair didn't fall out. So why is it all different? Could it be that we're all manifesting different symptoms because we all have different junk that we won't deal with? Maybe. Perhaps. As a hairdresser for 100 years, your hair, body, your hair, skin, and nails kind of tell on you. You could see when someone had a thyroid problem based on how their hair was responding to the hair color. How crazy is that? If I cut your hair and I feel it being brittle or it's breaking off, I'm like, maybe you should have your thyroid checked. Gut related? Yeah, 100%. And then you go, well, why is the belly having an issue? Again, it's emotions, guys. And I don't mean to say it's just your emotions. Yeah, okay, moving on. No. So we stop and we say, how do I deal with this? What's going on? What went on? What have I walked through that I never dealt with? That now my body's like, I'm so done with you. We're all jumping ship. I'm gonna go find somebody else. The hair is like, wait, I'm just going down the drain now. Well, that was a bust. I should have stayed where I was, right? At what point do you start addressing the root cause instead of treating the symptoms? It's like a headache. Everybody's had a headache. I think I don't want to speak that on you. If you haven't, forgive me. Let's delete and cancel that. But if you've had a headache, you understand that the headache is not the problem. Yes, we all agree with that. It's a symptom. It's a symptom of lack of sleep, stress, poor diet. You ate something you shouldn't, not enough water. I'll say stress again, maybe a little stress, probably a little more stress. I don't know. Headaches are just as symptoms. Everything else also is a symptom. Even cancer, even the big vid, all of it. It's a symptom of something else. Now, here's the thing. When we talk about things that break down our immune system, we'll see that attack the immune system. The immune system becomes weak because emotions, negative emotions that are repressed, that are built up and bubbling over. And all of a sudden, you're like my kombucha bottle that my kid brought in from the grocery store. He's like, Mom, look, I'm shaking the kombucha bottle. I'm going, oh my gosh. Now I don't know which one I'm going to be in church or in a middle room that has carpet going, it's a geyser. Sorry. That's you with your emotions. All of a sudden, they just, and maybe it like that because your hair falls out or your skin acts up or you manifest some dis-ease in the body when all of that could have been prevented had you not shaken the kombucha bottle. You know what I mean? Or if you shook it, then you give it time to just chill, right? If you've ever done that or your kids have ever done that, you know, okay, it's not going to explode forever. It'll calm down. But in the case of our bodies, we have to address it. I've coached enough people for so long now, and I count my hairdressing time. I think all my emotion certifications are just formality because as a hairdresser, I feel like totally equipped. Bartenders, yeah, you guys are same, right? But I've watched enough people that I'll use 2020, right? Everything is fine. You're going along with life, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden 2020 hits and you're like, oh my, you are a train wreck. What is happening? Well, it's 2020. It's the year and I don't know. And they won't get a shot. They keep getting a shot. They're going to end up and you start freaking out and you're upset. And I'm like, this is not about 2020. The problem is you had, I don't know, maybe you're 40, right? 39 years of not 2020, building up and you're maintaining and the bottle is getting shaken and shaken and shaken. All of a sudden 2020 hits and it's like this and someone popped the cap and it's like, it had nothing to do with last year. You see, in 2019, I'm watching you guys on Facebook. I'm like, oh, these guys are having a hard time with life. I had people tell me they needed to get coached by me, but because of their position in Young Living, they wouldn't dare take one of my classes because after all, someone might find out they have problems. I'm like, oh, sweetie, we can see it on you. You should take my class. She didn't ever take my class. That probably wasn't what she needed to hear. I'm not for everybody, right? But the thing is that people didn't get healed. They didn't address their emotions. They're not tenacious. They like Pamela or Karen. They're like, let's do this. Let's take it off. Come on. I want to live free. I want to live my purpose. I am a divine creation. And so if that wasn't you, and now you're like, I feel like I'm spiraling out of control. Yeah. Because the other side of it is, and we'll finish up with this and give you some tools to take home with you, is it's not just one big event happened in your life. Like, let's say, the death of my husband, or, someone having cancer or whatever. It's a global frequency, this word that has so much hate and fear attached to it. If you haven't seen my post or other people's posts about the word, I don't even want to say, because I will not give too much energy to it, but they did it just like the hidden messages in water, and you see what it does to the crystals. It's destructive. So for a year, now we're going on 2 years, the word is constantly in your face, and it's on fact checkers on Facebook. I can't even post something, right, without it being fact checked. I don't even post anything like that, but sometimes I don't even know. I can't even think of a thing. Fact check, and it has the word in there. So what happens is this frequency, a global energy, and we're all past like, oh, that's woo-woo, right? We can all handle it. We've all grown up to that place to understand that we are all connected on a frequency level. In 1956, they did a study in Washington where they had a tower. 1956, okay? These were not invented. However, they had the technology to be able to pick up frequencies from your belly for up to 4 miles in 1956 that I mentioned. What that means is the energy that we have put out, again in 1956, I'm astounded that way back then they knew, can be felt and picked up to 4 miles. Hello? If 4 miles from here, someone feels me say the word, they say it 4 miles from there, and on and on and on and on it goes. Faster than the speed of sound, yeah? We've just given energy to it, life, and we wonder why we're falling apart. Not me, not you, other people. Because we piled on emotional trauma, emotional stress. We were not ready for anything, some of us. But even those of us who were still got sidelined. On some occasions, too many in my case, I am embarrassed to say how many times I'm like, what? I know better. Yeah, I know. Because we weren't ready for an entire planet to be gripped in fear. We know better now. We're awake now. We understand how to go, fear be gone. Perfect love casts out fear. I receive only perfect love. I'm only giving perfect love. That is that. So with that, now then, understand that your oils have a frequency too. Your oils help you project that frequency. Our God does that too, but again, this isn't a class for that. Totally happy to help you discover that, but this isn't the time and place. Not everybody's on the same spiritual level, right? So let's just talk about oils. We can all get up to that point. So we think about the frequency that our oils are, where they're at. Let's say something as simple like Melissa, high frequency, tender oil, isn't it? We use Melissa, and it causes us to radiate that frequency. Guess where you put any oil you want to project out? Just pop quiz. Anybody want to type it in the chat? If you want to emit a good frequency, where would you put that? Your heart, that's a good guess, but really your belly. Remember I just said, In 1956, they picked up the frequency being pushed out from your belly. Yeah, Jean, your stomach, this, the core area. We receive from God up here, right? If you want to pour some oils up here, let's say divine release, transformation, sacred mountain, whatever, on your crown, God pours into you, the Holy Spirit pours into you, and then you and I pour out through our belly. You can't see me here, but I'm doing this, right? Through this area. It's our origin. Thank you, Terry, for saying yes. Huge healing in our navel. Oh my gosh, yes. Our original place of origin. This is where life began. This is where life began, right here in our belly. So of course, we're going to project it out. That heart, this, I'm not going to say it doesn't do anything except for keep us alive, but pretty much. So we all put joy over our heart. Yeah, go ahead, keep going, but also put it over your adrenal glands. It calms them down. Put it over your kidneys. The Hebrews, listen, if you read the Bible, learn Hebrew. It'll help you. You'll soar like that in your spiritual life. I promise you. But the Hebrews would talk about, you read in scripture, says the heart. That's translated as your kidneys. It's weird. I don't even want to get into a whole why on that. Yeah, good. Michelle, put it over your adrenals and your kidneys. Also, if it's not your kidneys it's talking about your mind, your will, your emotions, and your affections. If we put an oil over our heart here, I'm not saying it's wrong. We've all done it because we were taught and that's what we know, right? You have to give some sort of a place to put it when you're teaching an oil class. Over your heart, that sounds good. Yep, all right, everybody done? We're all set. Because it's a little weird to go, well, your heart could be your kidneys. It's also called the reins. It's also called your mind, will, emotions, and affections. Where is that? Okay, that's your soul. It's a little muddled when we're trying to have a place, right? If our personalities are more linear thinking, you're like, where's my soul? Where's my mind? Where's my will? Where's my affections? How do I put the joy on that? Put it on your adrenals and your kidneys. Or over your belly. Or simply inhale it. Have an arsenal. We all know this, whether you were raised military or not, whether you were in the military or not. Soldiers do not prepare for battle in times of war. Why did we wait till 2020 to prepare for this battle? Why are there only 20 people on this call right now still? It's not that bad. I'm doing okay. Oh, okay. Okay. So prepare. If you're in a time of peace right now, great. Understand that you need to get ready now. And I'm not speaking that something major catastrophic is going to happen. It may happen to other people, right? Psalm 91 says you only look on it with your eyes. See it that way. But you want to be ready so that it doesn't come. All of us have a different way to do that. One of the ways is to understand who you are, what you are called to, and that you have a job to do. Right? If you've ever had kids, they want so much of you, and you're like, I've got to get to work. You have to get to school. Right? Everybody's with me? If you have, I think about Pamela and her pups, me and my pups. Okay, you guys got to go in your crates because I got to get out of here. I have a meeting to go to. I have work to do. We have a job to do. Oh, the whole world's closing down. I can't do this. I have a job to do. I'm going to go ahead and keep doing it online. Oh, I have a job to do. You guys can still come over to my house. I have a job to do. See how that works? You're a nurse. They're telling you to do something you don't want to do. That's fine. You have a job to do. Guess what? There's a ton of people who will pay you on the side. I'm one of them. Call me up. A couple little extra certs. You're in business. right? Yeah, call Karen. There's a bunch of us on here that you can call. We got a whole list of people just waiting. Just waiting. When people start understanding they have a job to do, there's a book in heaven written with your name on it, with a whole list of really cool things for you to do. When you're ready, God's like, I got all of eternity. You don't, but I do. Well, you do, actually. But you know what I mean. He's ready. Just waiting. It's written, your name on it. Every one of you. When you're ready. So getting your arsenal ready in a practical sense is having your oils. There's the Great Day Protocol. That's delightful. It's a little elementary for what we're walking through, so we can grow up a little bit with that. And yeah, sure, we've got the white angelic inside. Sometimes you're going to need something like juniper, sage. You're going to need some heavy hitters because there's a lot of people with a lot of stuff, and I'm sorry to say, white angelic is not going to do it. Talk about your 6 feet, buddy. I'm just saying, you might going to need something more. Think it through. What works for Pamela may not work for me, and vice versa. What works for Deb may work for Lisa. So this is why we have our oil communities, and we talk and chat. Hey, what do you use for this? I tried that. Not my fave. But you know what? I like this paired with that. One of my friends, she's so rarely on Facebook, but I posted about gathering. She goes, oh my gosh, everybody try it with orange. You're welcome. I'm like, well, now, wasn't that genius? Just a little, hey, try this. So when we're not in times of war, we play around with our oils, especially with our emotions, and we notice. I have transformation here. I smell it. I think, do I like this now? Yeah, I like it. Okay, that's good. So I pour it out. I let the aromas kind of come out. I smell, okay. And then I started to think, what is this making me think of? Have you guys ever done that with your oils? What am I thinking about right now? If you're repelled by an oil, it's not for you. Put it back on the shelf. Go visit it another day. You see, emotional work, being prepared and ready for anything, takes a little time. We have to dial it back. I said I was going to finish with something else, and I've already blown past that. I will finish with this, rest. See, this is where I'll get on my soapbox and say, okay, bye everyone, have a good night. But rest. For those of you who call yourself a child of God, do you understand that the thou shalt keep a Sabbath, however that goes, is the biggest real estate in all of the 10 Commandments? And yet it's the one thing most believers will not do. They have got a reason why. Well, you know, that's the Old Testament. Well, I'm like, oh, really? Because if I go murder someone, I think you guys might have a problem with that. Yeah? If I lie to you, you're kind of mad at me, right? Why? Because our spirit is like, hey, that's wrong. But rest? Oh, I'm too busy. I got all these things. God created the whole universe and took a rest. Feel like there's no one who is busier than our God. Still took a rest. We were convicted, I'll say that, by God, Mark and I, to take a Sabbath, and it changed our lives. Our family had more healing. Now, I say this knowing my husband went already. He's not on this earth anymore. It's a little weird to talk about the healing of that. Again, people die for 2 reasons. Either their time was up or they got taken out. My husband was the latter. I can talk to you about that another time. This isn't the place. The point is, healing happens on the Sabbath. Scroll through your Bible. Know that Jesus did most of his miracles on the Sabbath. Doesn't, I'm not going to fight with you over what day. That's a stupid no one wins debate. 1 day a week. Rest. Put this away. Let your mind rest. Let your body rest. Let your soul rest. Let your spirit receive. In doing that, I can tell you, if we had not taken a weekly Sabbath pre-2020, I would have been a mess. because we had a rhythm of rest. I move now with my business, with my coaching, with the things I teach in a restful pattern. Sabbath rest is not just once a week, though it begins there. It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes I need to pause and breathe and think. Give me a minute. And you start talking a little slower. And you start being able to think through things. You take your time at the market. It's great. I drive extra distance to the market because I only like the Whole Foods in Allen. I don't care for the one in Plano. I like the people better there. No offense against the ones in Plano. I just have a connection with them. It's where I'm called to. One of the things you'll start to begin to move and think, and when you know your purpose and you know your calling and you know you have a job to do, you will choose the restaurants you go to, the grocery stores, the movie theaters, all because you know your life is built on design. And everywhere you go is with purpose. And you can't know that unless you're in a restful posture, if you have a rhythm of rest in your life. In a previous time in my life, I would be like, oh, I gotta go to Plano. It's closer, it's this. Or I would not go to Traders, God forbid, in Massachusetts, because we would take like 45 minutes because traffic is everywhere. Now I'm like, all right, I'll just listen to a podcast, take a child with me, we'll have some conversation. It's a rhythm of rest. If you can take what we've learned this year and build it on it and build on it, even just taking a few principles from rest, from miracles, from belief, my gosh, I could talk all day about miracles, whatever. Journaling, visions, all of that, just a few. Start casting a vision for 2022. It can be whatever year you want it to be. In the beginning of 2021, I had big ideas, big dreams, big goals. I did not have the idea that my husband would pass away. It was not in my plan. Wasn't in my kids' plan. But here's the thing. It happened, it's done, but the things that I wrote, I'm like, I can do it with Mark, I can do it without. I'd rather do it with him. That's not my option now. I'm gonna keep going. I know my name, I know my purpose, and I know I have a job to do. I hope each one of you do as well. If not, you know where to begin. Thank you guys for joining me.